Like I said, we're going to talk about jealousy.
Jealousy.
Right.
So, what Jason and I, and what brought this topic up is that over the past couple of weeks, we have been talking with couples and dealing with couples who are having issues in their relationship, and they didn't realize that it was a jealousy issue.
Right.
And so I said, this is something that we need to talk about because having a little, as Jason said, having a little jealousy in your relationship is actually good for the relationship because it sometimes as we take our partners for granted and sometimes we don't realize that we're taking them for granted. So a little jealousy lets them know that, hey, I'm still here. Don't take me for granted. Or as Jason said, it can also push us to strive to be better. Right? So, or it can make us pay more attention to our mate. But the big issue is that when you do have jealousy in a relationship, we need to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, that issue becomes another issue, which can lead to arguments, disagreements. It turns into something else because we never dealt with it in the very beginning or we weren't honest with ourselves that it is jealousy.
That's right.
Right?
That's true.
I know I said I do a lot of talking.
I know you do. I know you do.
Oh, so right before you start, last week we had a couple of issues with our sound. So if for some reason you guys don't hear us or if we're coming across too loud, please type it in, make a comment and let us know because we cannot hear ourselves on the other end. So please let us know. It's
Yeah, I think we
wrong with
worked out.
saying
But let us know if you can hear us clear and we're not coming in.
yeah, so we were going in and out. So also let us know. All right. So don't be shy. Just say, hey, Tina, Jason, we can't hear you guys, or you guys are coming across too loud or something, or too low. Please let us know.
I very seldom come across too loud.
Oh, on camera. All right. Okay. So I was talking to Jason and I said most of the time people get jealous when we've experienced where one person has lost a lot of weight and the other person hasn't. So we know this firsthand. So, initially everything is fine, the relationship is fine, and then one person decides to, eat healthy for whatever. It could be for health reasons, right? Or maybe they struggle
On a
with
lifestyle change.
or they struggle with their self-esteem. And so they want to do something that makes themselves feel good. So to them, they start to lose weight. The weight starts to come off. They start to feel better about themselves. They start to love themselves. And now their mate is jealous because that person now is expressing a better them. Right. And so now they are jealous. They still love the person because we often say, well, how can you be jealous of someone that you love? That's most of the time the person that you're jealous of.
True.
Because you once shared this commonality, right? This bond, whatever it may have been. As we said, you create the relationship that you have. So you create this relationship where maybe you both are eating unhealthy. Now all of a sudden your partner changes and it creates a little strife in the relationship. Now you start to feel jealous because that person starts to feel good about themselves or they're exhibiting more confidence or they just look better. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they're starting to change.
Their body starts to
change.
Exactly. And so you're jealous because you're afraid that you're going to lose them. You're jealous because you're afraid that maybe someone else is going to get their attention or they're going to get the attention of someone else. And so we don't know how to deal with these emotions. This is another issue in marriages and relationships that we don't know how to deal with. We don't know how to deal with jealousy. We understand jealousy when it's somebody we dislike, right? We can understand because we don't have to talk with them.
Yeah, that's true.
But when it's in our relationships, we have to be honest. And again, remember we said, elevation takes honesty. We have to be honest with ourselves first, and then we have to be honest with our mate to be able to sit down and have a conversation and say, well, maybe I'm feeling a little jealous. I've never had these feelings before. I don't know how to express
That'd be
it.
nice if they'd be that honest.
Yeah.
But
most of the time what we do is we start throwing blame.
Sure.
We start finding reasons.
You spend too much time at the gym. You're creating a problem. So you'll make a problem where a problem isn't because you're jealous about the situation, whether the person is losing weight, gaining more confidence, spending more time there, being more conscious of the thing that they're eating. And then don't let them start making actual physical changes. They coming down a few sizes. They really feeling good and they're really into the whole health movement. then you're against every aspect of it.
Yep.
You're really not that small. You basically the same size. You start saying all of these different things because in the inside you may want to make a change like that, but you haven't decided to do that. So you point blame at everything that they do. You're spending too much time at the gym. I want to go here when you know that this is the person's gym time. Well, I made plans for us to do this. Now you can't go. You're picking the gym over me, and you start to create all these different problems just to say that your decision is affecting our marriage, and that's not the case, right? So, and that's how jealousy works. It doesn't just come out and just be all blaring. It's the little subtle things that you do to pick. Oh, you going there and not going with me. You spending too much time there. You're not spending enough time with me. So you make them say that they need to choose. You need to spend more time with me. So
or you start creating arguments against things because, so the person says, okay, well, why don't you come to the gym with me? And now the person who's feeling jealous doesn't want to come to the gym or doesn't want to do what they're doing because they're jealous of it and they don't know how to express it. So now, as Jason said, they're against everything. They don't want to eat healthy. Everything that you buy or do or say, there's going to be an argument about it. And now where there was no problems and no fault, now there's problems and there's fault. And sometimes it gets so bad that the jealousy evolves to something else if it's not handled up front. Right. If it's not handled. And like we said, jealousy can be a good thing, right? Sometimes if I'm jealous, if I get a little jealous about something, it's okay, well, maybe you need to pay a little bit more attention or maybe you need to do a little something else, right? Jealousy is a natural thing. First of all, it's a natural aspect of a human. We will get jealous over things that maybe we didn't think we would get jealous over. And so it's healthy in a relationship because sometimes it can bring you closer to your mate. Yep. It can help you discover things that maybe you didn't see before when you talk about it, right? And so once you start talking about what it is that makes you guys different or what makes it different, then you realize that maybe this is a aspect of our relationship that can make us closer. Talking about it has now made us closer, made me more aware, makes me actually value your opinion more or your honesty in bringing it to me. So that could be a good thing in a relationship. Now, when it gets out of hand, we have seen people actually where it escalates. It becomes such a nuisance because the person doesn't want to admit that it's jealousy. And so people have gotten divorces over something as small as
losing weight.
Yep. Right? And so
getting a better job.
Yes.
Just changing.
Going to school.
Just going to school. Yeah. All these different things create a rift in your relationship.
Yep.
And when that happens, you just...
And a lot of big jealousy comes from the ex, right?
Oh, for sure.
If you have an ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend that you may have children with, and then that person is a part of your relationship because they have to be, because there's children involved. We get jealous, and so we start to say things and do things that are detrimental to our relationship, not because our relationship is bad, but because you are experiencing jealousy and you don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to talk about it. You don't know what to do about it because that's not something that we want to. We don't want to come out and say, you know what, I'm jealous. Exactly, but we don't even want to say it, right? Oh, I'm jealous. You're gonna be like, what? Jealous of what?
How can you be jealous of me?
And most of the time, our mate will call us off. Will call us out. You just like you're nothing to be jealous of. And you're like, I'm not jealous. And so what we have to understand, if there is a sign of your mate having an issue with something that you didn't do before, now you do, then it's probably jealousy. Yep. Jason and I talk about it all the time when a person likes something, right? So Jason, loved baseball. Right. And I told, we often have this conversation where I said, it could have been an issue in our marriage with you spending so much time at the baseball field if I had not included myself. If we hadn't, I wouldn't say included myself. I would say if we didn't do it together. Right, exactly. If we didn't do it together. So
we spend a lot of time on the field. Doing all those small things. Yep. And it could have created a rift. Yep. Oh, you're going to play with,
going out to practice again. You're the coaching again. Oh, they calling you again. Oh, you back at that. And so it could have, what I would recommend is that when you start a new endeavor, whatever it may be, it is kind of important to get the support of your mate. So, discuss it over with your mate if you're going to do something. But if you notice that there's jealousy in a relationship, sit down as the person either who is experiencing the jealousy or the person who is getting the end of the jealousy, and just have a conversation. Sometimes, all it takes is a small conversation, and it takes compassion and understanding, because we've all been there for whatever reason. We get jealous of, as people say, I see now, there's a lot of, your work husband, your work wife, right?
Man,
So, right? So we get jealous over time that we spend with each other. I know when, last year when I was back in school, and I spent a lot of time on the phone with my teammate.
College friends.
As Jason called them, your little college friends, right? And so we used to laugh about it, but it could have really created
a rift,
a problem in our relationship. But my point was that a lot of the young ladies that were in my group, they had boyfriends, and their boyfriends used to say, "Oh, you got another meeting? Or you back on the phone with Tina?" And so the thing is that we experience jealousy because it's something that maybe we start doing that we didn't do before. And so you have to find a way to, it's about the change. And so you have to find a way to include your mate, but also make sure that you're not neglecting your mate at the same time. We have to do things, not that it's our duty to make sure our mate is happy, but we can make sure that they feel secure, that insecurities don't set in, that we don't give them the opportunity to not only experience jealousy, but that we don't add fuel to the fire, right?
But also, it's okay if you start one way and you change your mind. Like you originally agreed to it, but then later on you go, well, you know what? I'm not feeling it now. I feel funny about this particular situation. Originally, I agreed to it. Like say we're gonna, you say you join the group, right? One of many that you're just a person that likes to be in groups, right? And then you end up running the group, and then you end up meeting more, and then it takes even more of a toll on your relationship because it pulls you away from your
relationship.
Your family.
It pulls you away because the dynamics between the two people has changed.
Right.
So that person now feels left out and does not know how to express that. And so jealousy comes in all shapes and sizes.
Oh, it does.
Do you want to? So we're going to take a break to say hey to everybody and thank you. All right. Why most jealous people won't admit it, or do they not realize it's a form of jealousy?
Yeah, they don't realize. They don't realize. All they know, it doesn't come across, I'll say this, it doesn't come across as jealousy. It come across as a problem that what you're doing is affecting our relationship.
Right.
You're spending too much time
doing X, Y, Z. Yes.
And not enough time with me. You're putting the family second versus for what you're doing. Like, to go to the gym, to eat right, to do all those different things it takes a commitment, right?
Right.
And you have to sometime go, I need to do this because it's important. It may be important for health reasons or whatever, but it's a decision that you made that you want to, make first and foremost. But then they'll say, you don't eat the way we do. Now you want me to cook a second meal for you. And we eating this and you want to eat that. So they'll create a problem instead of saying, hey, look, I support you in this endeavor. So that's how it is. Jealousy shows up like that as a problem. So
jealousy shows up in many different ways because I know sometimes when I felt jealous, it was more of an insecurity, right?
That's another thing, yes.
And so it was. I had to ask myself, is it me? Or do I have a valid reason to be jealous? And like I said, sometimes jealousy is healthy because then it gives you an opportunity to talk to your partner. But if you keep it to yourself because like you don't want to admit that you're jealous, then it creates an issue. And so now I have everything that he does around whatever it is that I'm jealous about, right? If I'm jealous about a coworker, whenever she calls, I'm jealous. Whenever he talks to her, I'm jealous. And so then it becomes the issue that it's not about her. It's about, well, why is that person calling? Why do you spend so much time? Well, why are you doing this? Why do you have to do that? Well, and so now I'm finding fault with everything that my partner does because I don't want to admit that the true thing is jealousy. It's not that that person calls too much or that he talks to them or that, the conversation is not work or whatever. Is that people can't admit to themselves that they're jealous because that's an ugly thing to say, right? We are so we don't want, sometimes we don't want to tell ourselves the ugly truths about what the truth is.
Right.
And so, and it escalates. It turns from jealousy of one thing, and then you have an issue with this, and then now you leave your clothes on the floor, and now have to clean up. Well, if you were here, and if you weren't on the phone, then you would have been able to do this, and you would have been able to do that. And so it just snowballs into something else. But the first thing is to see it when it comes to jealousy is to recognize it for what it is, right? And so now, when people get obsessive about it, because
we got a problem.
There are different levels to everything, and there's definitely different levels to jealousy. If it's a level where you can just it doesn't happen often. It's not a everyday. Everybody you talk to, I talk to, there's always a jealous issue. Then that's a red flag. Like, you need to pay attention to the signs of a person that has consistent jealousy issues, whereas it's not you, it's the person, it's their past, it's insecurities, whatever it is, that's something that needs to be dealt with. But if it's, not all the time and it rears up every now and again, this is something where we have to, one, be honest with ourselves. Where does it come from? What does it extend from? And sometimes we have a reason to be jealous because our mate may be giving more attention to something or someone else. And so we have to make them aware of it. And that's what we mean by our mate may take us for granted. And once you bring it to their attention, maybe.
But I'm shrinking down. That feels like it.
Attention, then it can be handled. But if your partner has to be open to the fact that you want to discuss it. Sometimes people get upset because, or sometimes jealousy can come from past hurts, right? Where we've had infidelity, or we've had mistrust issue, or we've had our partner to actually get too close to something or someone where they're spending more time doing other things than building the relationship with you. So we have to look at all that. Are we going to, let's do some comments.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, James, how are you?
All right. Thank you, James. Good to see you this Friday. Good point, Tina. Thank you. I don't know what the point was, but thank you.
Yep.
All right. You got to bring it up so I can read it.
Yes.
It must be addressed. Yes. Realize when it is abusive. Absolutely.
Yes, right. And you know what? Unspoken jealousy will turn to abuse or some forms of being abusive.
Because it starts with the jealousy, then it starts with the words, then it starts with the action.
Right.
And so another thing I want to say, speaking of abuse, that's not a natural thing. People think that abusive language, abusive behavior, that's not a good relationship, and that's not normal behavior. Not everyone goes through that. And so you have to be able to see the red flags when it's something that's more there than just occasional jealousy. Right. When it's compulsive jealousy and anything and everything is always a trigger.
Going through your phone, searching
your emails, always
calling you all the time when you're not in their presence.
Or always making assumptions, always saying what the person is doing, always saying things that aren't true about your mate. Because they're jealous, they're going to continue to say things to you that aren't true. And so it creates a problem. And so jealousy, untalked about and untamed, can really escalate to divorce or separation or whatever. But the point of jealousy is that there's different. We decided to talk about this because we can't control someone else, but we can't control ourselves. Absolutely. I think counseling is needed at times.
For sure.
Yes.
Yep.
And so, Vicki, when we talk about counseling, so many people think that word is so negative, or they don't think that the issue
any
is
type
them.
of help.
Yeah, they don't think that the issue is them.
So for the most part, they don't even realize they need help. First of all, because they're not jealous.
Right.
So, but they know that something's off in their relationship. And most of the time when things are off in your relationship, you can't pinpoint it. You just know something isn't the same and it's not, they may be getting on your nerve, but you can't pinpoint what the actual problem is. Now, here's the other thing when it comes to counseling. It takes a very big person to go speak to somebody about their private life. They should do that, but a lot of them don't.
And if you're the type of person who does not like counseling, or you're experiencing jealousy and you don't know why, then pick up a book, read about it, Google it, understand the feelings and the emotions that you're going through to make your relationship better. That's the whole point of talking about relationships, talking about marriages, to bring the issues to the forefront, not so we can be ashamed of them, not so we
Right.
can sit back
So we
and,
can now have a
and create
conversation
bad
about it.
relationships. Yes, it's to bring them to the forefront. It's to talk about them. It's to understand them. We all have jealousy issues, right? We're all insecure with something about something, right? Nobody is 100% perfect all the time. So we're going to have insecurities, whether it's about how we look, about our weight, about how we speak, about our education, about how much money we make, about the house we live in, the car we drive, whatever, the church we go to, right? The clothes we wear, right? The mate we picked. We all have insecurities about something. But what we have to be able to do is understand the psychic behind it. Why do I feel this way? How can I correct it? How can I help myself? How can I understand the feelings and the emotions that I'm going through so that I can help myself and my mate so we can build a better relationship? Because once you, as we always say, it always starts with us. Once
Right.
I'm able to control my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts, and put them into perspective as to why I feel a certain way, and then I'm able to effectively communicate that to my mate,
Yeah.
then some of these issues that we don't have to have them, right? We don't. If we deal with this jealousy up front, I don't have to talk to you about the dishes when the issue is really not the dishes.
Oh, it's not about the dishes? Well, I'm glad it's not the dishes. Okay. It's not about the dishes. No. So I'm gonna remind you about that. Baby, it's not about the dishes.
So
But yeah, but one thing about the whole jealousy thing is, and getting help, we just have to.
type of help.
Right. We have to be able to start the conversation. And this is where this comes in at starting the conversation. A lot of times people don't know where to look when, I would never say that I'm jealous. But there's times that I've been jealous or maybe insecure about a situation, but I don't know if I would call it jealousy.
Remember a very particular time, and it actually, which is really kind of crazy, it actually made me feel good.
Okay.
It actually made, because
All right.
sometimes you want your mate to demonstrate jealousy just to
Know that
make
they
you
care.
feel right, to
I
know that you
understand.
care.
Right.
So this is when we were dating, though.
Okay.
It was so funny, though. It was funny. It was funny to me, and
So
so
funny to me. That's it. That's the only thing I want to know. Was it funny to me?
funny to
Oh,
you. So I'm
funny.
conversating with an ex-boyfriend, and he happened to be there, and we were talking. Remember, and so I was just talking to him and not thinking it was really like platonic conversation. I don't know. We might have just been saying, "Hey, how's it going? What's going? Whatever." It was something, right? I think it was too long, and you came up behind me and kind of did like this, and
I do remember that.
just thought,
Yeah. All right, baby. I was trying to pluck you out of that situation.
it's cute.
Yeah.
So it's nice sometimes to know that your mate is jealous because it makes you feel like they care. They're still interested in you. They don't take you for granted, right? So that sometimes it can be nice, but when it gets out of control, it's out of control. Do we have another conversation?
It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. I do remember that.
Yeah, it can be a form of protection.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so when
Because sometimes one mate may see something that you can't see. So
Yeah.
sometimes Tina goes, "You need to pay attention to this situation," and I go, "I'm not thinking that." Right. But she's like, "No, you need to pay attention to the conversation. You need to pay attention to how you may approach that person." So I'm like, "Oh, okay. I wasn't thinking about that." But yeah, it's not necessarily jealousy, but it is pointing something out
Right.
that could lead to and have
a
an
mis- a
issue.
misunderstanding.
Right. And I'm like, okay, that's not what I want. So now I just need to be more aware of what I say or how I interact with certain people.
So and that's the difference between understanding when you're feeling jealous and when you're actually having a concern about something that you want to bring to your mate. And I know when as we were talking about, when the person is experiencing jealousy, most of the time for how it can be recognized is when the person has an issue with you doing it all the time. Before it was okay. Now they're bringing it up all the time about what it is you do. Whether it's you go play golf and the person knows that you like to play golf.
Yep.
And so what can help that is recognizing, not only the person recognizing it, but your mate recognizing that it may be a jealous issue. let me have a conversation. Let me do something to help my mate feel more secure, to bring down the concerns. Because if you are spending a lot of time away from home, or you're doing different things that you didn't do before, and you're neglecting your relationship, then that person has a legitimate reason to feel jealous. And so, like I said, most of the time it comes out of fear. It comes out of the fear that you're going to lose a person, or that that person's doing something, or that there's a mistrust. So sometimes if you just nip it in the bud, it can eliminate all of the misconceptions and the future arguments, right?
Yep.
I know.
And then sometimes it comes up, comes across as boundaries, right? If you feel like someone, you get jealous because maybe someone is, coming across on your boundaries and maybe overstepping their family boundaries, right? So you feel like, nope, I'm not liking this. But we don't know how to have that conversation. We just say, well, you spend too much time with this person, you're doing this, and you put the family second.
We put an issue.
We're not really saying what we really feel, right? We're just kind of coming at the person.
Everything that has to deal with that situation.
Right. So now we're just saying, let's have a conversation, not let's just bring up the faults. Let's say, what's the feelings behind that the feeling of making fault. So if you can really get down to what's behind the way I feel about this situation, then you can move forward, or you can have an open conversation. And this is what this is about, right? Let's call a thing, right? So it's jealousy. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I might have a 10 of jealousy. It's okay, but if I never call it, all I'm saying is it's your fault.
Right.
And you're taking time away from the family, and you're taking time away from me, then I'm putting it on you.
People don't even say you're taking time. People just find fault in whatever. Most of the time people find if you stop doing that so much, or if you had time for this, or if you had time for that, they continue.
Or if you like a car, shop, or whatever. It's many different instances.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is trying to get you to pay attention to when those things come up in your relationship. Whether, you may like to ride your bike in the summertime, right? So it's only a few months that you get a chance to ride that bike.
Only if you live in certain places.
Only live in certain places, right? So in the place I live, it's only a few months. I always say we're down to 2 weeks of summer now, because that's what it feels like. By the time it turns hot, it's cold, and we're going into winter.
So we got 2 weeks to ride our bike.
Right. So you have time. So you want to spend a lot of time on that motorcycle and get with the boys or whatever, and have in the clubs that you may be associated with, and have fun. And if your mate is not down with that, then that can create a problem. It could be jealousy. So it comes in many different forms. We're just trying to get you to open up and take a look at that.
On both sides.
Right?
Well, what am I doing? Even though I want to spend time doing the things I enjoy, how can I include my mate in it? Right? And sometimes because the mate to understand. And sometimes the mate is so jealous, and like we said, find fault with it, that they don't want to do it, not because they don't want to. They don't want to do it because they're jealous, and they don't want to do have anything to do with it because of the jealousy. Jealousy is such an ugly thing if we do not conquer it. It's that thing that just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing if we don't understand how to smash it. I think, okay, so, the thing is to recognize it on both sides. Right. I have to recognize what I'm doing, whereas maybe Jason and I used to spend a lot of time together. Now I have time doing this because this is something that I enjoy. Right. So he feels neglected. Right. And so that neglect turns to anger, and that anger turns to jealousy, because now he's jealous of the thing that I am now involved in, but he doesn't know how to express that. All he knows is that he's feeling
I'm
neglected.
Feeling left out.
Right.
And if so I'm feeling left out, now I'm going to lash out.
I'm going to lash out. Right. As we said before, hurt people. And so he's trying to express to me in the best way he knows how that, he's upset because I'm doing it so much. And so then he starts to strike out. But the thing is that if he doesn't recognize it as jealousy, it's still not going to do, because pointing fingers, we always say, don't point fingers, don't cast blame. What we have to do is find out what the issue is. Find out what the real issue is. Find out what the real issue is, because once we do that, we can, as we've stated before, we can tackle the issue together instead of apart. Instead of it's me and my issue and you and your issue, let's understand what the real issue is. What is the problem that we are experiencing? And then let's come to an understanding about it, right? Let's divide and conquer the problem, not divide and conquer each other. That's the biggest difference when we're talking about how to build relationships, how to maintain a relationship, how to make a relationship last. And Jason and I, we have lots of conversations. But we got to
We do.
right. Jason and I have a conversation. And I said, relationships. All right. Unchecked jealousy can be dangerous. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yes. And so
Hey, Kelly, how are you?
Yes. Hey, Kelly. Thanks for joining us tonight. Welcome to the conversation.
Yep, it is. It is.
And so what happened? Exactly. And so as we, we might want to go back and view some of the comments or the conversation that we had. Absolutely. It escalates. And so people who don't, as you said, unchecked jealousy, it turns to anger. It turns to arguments. It turns to blame. It continues to snowball into such ugly things that it sometimes it damages the relationship just by the words that we speak, that there's no coming back from it. And then that jealousy adds on top of another jealousy. And then we look at that and we still carry that around. And so that's why we said, first of all, we have to recognize sometimes what we are feeling and experiencing is jealousy. And if the person cannot accept it, then they cannot handle it and they cannot talk about it. The first thing we need to do is when we feel a certain way about a certain thing, we need to ask ourselves, am I jealous? Is this jealousy? Is this concern? Is this, do I have valid reason? Was there mistrust issues in the past? Like, what am I really experiencing before I blow up or blame my mate, right? So I was saying that one of the conversations that Jason and I had, I said marriage and relationships are one of those things that you get bamboozled. I think you get bamboozled, and because you
think
grow
in one
up,
way and it turns out to be something totally different.
You grow up, and when you meet someone, the relationship organically evolves, right? You meet that boy meets girl, and the relationship just evolves to something nice. And that's when you realize, oh, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. So we just assume that the rest of our life is going to be like that, right?
Right.
Our relationship is just going to naturally, organically, continually get better. And it doesn't. It doesn't get better unless we continually work at it. We don't understand that all of the stuff we put up front in the relationship when we first meet someone, and how once we know that person, all of that stuff stops. Right? And so relationships are those things we go, well, up until this point, my life was good. And then I met you and then things were good. So I just assumed that it was going to continue to be like that. I didn't know it was going to be all these issues and arguments and daddy issues and mama issues and raising babies and money. And
you play a major role in your current relationship.
Or your ex and your ex's ex and your baby's mamas and your baby's daddies, your ex-husbands, your ex-wives, your mixed families. Like, we had no idea. This is one of them things that we got bamboozled and we like, wait a minute. Nobody said this. Nobody said after you say I do, that's when
you got a lot of stuff to deal with.
You got a lot of stuff to deal with, realize, understand, talk about, go through. So we need explain to our partners when we feel jealous. Yes, I feel jealous when you do. Yes, exactly. When you do X, Y, and Z. Or some and
this is what this is all about. When we first came up with this topic, we said that we needed for the couples to start the conversation about jealousy. I feel this way. I feel jealous when you do this. Or I feel that you may be doing this and it may be jealousy. I don't know. But at least you can start the conversation.
So let me ask you, Vicki, in the past, when you've had an issue with something, and, sometimes we put people in front, you can or don't have to answer, but in the past, when you felt jealous, have you ever gone to your mate, maybe earlier in relationship, and said, I feel jealous? Or did you just come to your mate and say, hey, I want to talk to you about this person or this issue or this thing? So we have a tendency of talking about the issue that we have, but not recognizing that it's jealousy.
Right, how it's really affecting
us. And so
us.
I think that puts down the barrier for your mate to understand where you're coming from. Yes, what, Vicki? Vicki, I said a lot of questions.
Yes, I have.
Okay. Yes, you have. Yes, you've talked about the issue first, or yes, you've come to him and said, I feel jealous. Because sometimes, once we see what Vicki said, sometimes it takes us to right, you tell them how you feel, but, I'm not comfortable with this, or I want to talk to you about this, or I don't understand why you do this. And so talking about how we feel, but not recognizing that it's jealousy, it's an issue. Right, because if I come to Jason and say, I don't feel like you need to talk to this person, or I feel like you're neglecting me, or I feel like this. I'm telling him how I feel. But if I don't take the time to really ask myself first, why do I feel like that?
Because
why
that's my
am I
next
jealous?
question.
Right. So
my next question is, why do you feel this way?
right. So what brings it up? And
What
so
did I do to make you feel this way? What is it about this situation that makes you feel that way?
so before we go to our mate, we have to be able to go to ourselves and say, what am I feeling? Is this jealousy? Is this anger? Is this insecurity? Like sometimes we may feel jealous and it's just our own insecurity, so we don't even need to talk to our mate. Yeah. We need to talk to ourselves.
Sometimes it's on us.
Sometimes it's on us. Sometimes we need to tell ourselves, like, you tripping. Yep. Like on the short end of the reel, you tripping, right? Sometimes I tell myself, like, Tina, come on now, get real.
You know what? You can go down that mind hole, right? Right. So your mind start thinking these thoughts, and you start getting these feelings, and then before you know it, you're way somewhere else than where you should be.
Jealousy.
Yep. Just
escalated, and that person is like,
you got them doing all kind of stuff, and it's just you just going down the rabbit hole, and you didn't experience so much stuff that you've never experienced, and you're like, what am I talking about? I'm just feeling like she's just talking to this person too much from work.
With previous conversation, all it takes is one thought, whether negative or positive, to keep continually creating that same pattern of thought, and then you have turned jealousy into now you mad. Now he has done something or she's done something, and it just as again a snowball, right? Whether we do it with our kids, they didn't call, they didn't make it, she didn't do it, she didn't ditch, she didn't, you know,
you can throw all this stuff up, right? And then they call like, oh, sorry, what you were, and you're like, what?
So I think the conversation first is to recognize that it's jealousy. We have to recognize it, and then talk ourselves off the ledge of being so jealous that we don't want to partake in whatever it is that they're doing, or that we're not willing to see a compromise or understanding in a different fashion in the way they do it. Right? Because before we go to our partner, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we want? So if I'm jealous, what do I want the outcome to be? Is it wrong for me to ask him to stop talking to a person, or stop doing this, or stop going to the gym when it's something that he enjoys, right? So how do I want the outcome to be? What do I want the resolution to be even before I talk to my mate? Because sometimes we want our mate to make us feel good and make us feel happy, but sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what is it about this issue that makes me jealous? Where is it stemming from? And then what resolution would make me happy where I'm not being unreasonable to my mate? Because sometimes we do that just for, we make unselfish demands, which have nothing to do with our mate or what they're doing. It has to do with our own insecurities.
And that's why I'm glad you brought that up, because if we don't get to the root of it, then it's just going to show up in another instance, right? So it may not be the gym. It may be something else. It may be the job. It may be the promotions, how much time I'm spending at the job. It could be a number of different things, but it's always going to be something. So if you don't take the part that you need to take care of, and that's the jealousy part.
And the root of the problem.
And the root of the problem, find out why you feel the way that you feel, then you'll keep reliving this in your relationships.
But now, like we said, it's okay to experience some jealousy. But now, if it's constant and continuous, then that's where you have to look at your mate and say, look, you got some issues.
You know what? You got some issues.
Let's talk about this. Let's read a book, go to a counselor, talk to somebody. Let's understand really what's going on, because it couldn't possibly be me all the time. Why is it that you're constantly jealous over nothing? So we have to also, as Kelly said, we have to make sure that we're paying attention to unchecked jealousy, right? It can get bad, or is it too much jealousy? Is it jealousy all the time over nothing?
Yep.
Any other comments?
Yeah, we do, baby.
All right, Kelly says, yes, self-check is an important first step. Find out what's going on with self and root causes. And if you know what,
and sometimes we don't even. I mean, we've never really been taught to deal with the root causes of our feelings, our emotions,
or
our thinking. Sometimes our thinking just get out of control, and then if your thinking gone, then your emotions are out of whack. And
we're never taught to really confront our own issues, right? Because as we said, we talked about lies, right? We grow up learning to lie for no reason, right? So our main concern is to protect ourselves. So why would we confront ourselves about something that we feel like is not us. It's our mate. You do it. You go to the gym. You do it. You spend too much time.
You're causing this problem.
You spend too much time buffing and wiping on your car, right?
Yep.
You spend too much time with the fellas.
Watching football.
Whatever
Football
it is.
season.
So we're never taught to first talk to yourself. Sit down, take an evaluation of what is really going on with you before you try to go and play the blame game.
There you go. Hey, Dennis, how are you, man?
Hey, Dennis, I know you just got on. You might want to go. I'm not even
Watch the replay.
Right, watch the replay, Dennis. We mentioned you in the beginning, so I'm not even going to let you know what we said. But go watch the replay, Dennis. Thanks for joining us this Friday. Appreciate you so much. Sometimes you explain it, but they don't get it until someone else explains it to them. Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
True.
Because they can't hear it from you because you're part of the issue.
Yep.
They can't hear from their mate because no one wants to be faced with the reality of it's me, right? So that's why I said sometimes we got to talk to ourselves. We got to give our mate a break and say, wait a minute, where is this truly stemming from? And then if it is an issue that you have with your mate, because your mate may be, neglecting you, and I use the word lightly, right? Maybe doing more things, because we know that our mate is going to always be there. So we find things to do sometimes and we enjoy it and we spend more time doing it. And so the mate gets jealous because that time used to be spent with them, or it used to be spent on the couch where they knew where you were and what you were doing.
Exactly.
So now it's a jealousy, not because you're doing it, but because you're not doing it with them or they're not involved.
Oh, Dennis. Okay. We're gonna pray about these 16 hours, Dennis. All right. Yep.
So I'm gonna need for you to take a couple of days off now. Take a couple of hours off, Dennis.
Hey, you're not as young as you used to, man.
That's true. That's true, Dennis. We were in the same grade. Not as and even though you enjoy it, we still need a break. Wayne, hey Wayne.
Hey Wayne, how are you?
Thank you for joining us. Hello, family. Yes, jealousy is a dangerous spirit, and it doesn't discriminate between family relationships or friendships, but it has to be addressed immediately. Yes. And I just want to say, I'm glad you said that, because jealousy just doesn't have to be with your mate. It can be with your children. Sometimes we get jealous because our children go to our sister or our brother or a neighbor and they ask for their opinion as opposed to our opinion. And so now we're jealous, and now we don't take it out on the child. We take it out on the person they went to go ask. Because now we're jealous because they're asking someone else instead of us. So jealousy has no discriminators. You can be jealous of anything and anybody, but the question is we have to ask ourselves, are we being reasonable with the jealousy? Where is it coming from? What is the problem?
Can we get checked?
And
can we recognize?
Am I always jealous? And if I'm always jealous over every little thing, then it has to be me. It had no one is doing something all the time that is creating jealousy that often. So when we talk about the issues in relationships, and it has to do with relationships in every sense of the word, and sometimes it doesn't affect us as much, or we're not concerned as much, I should say that, when it deals with someone that we're not intimate with, right?
Okay,
so if we're at work and we're jealous of our coworker because they just got a raise or they got a promotion or they get more attention, then we're jealous. But again, we have to ask ourselves, it's not their problem.
Right.
It's not because of them, because you're jealous. So we have to see where jealousy comes from. Where does it stem from? What are the inadequacies that I feel about myself that is causing this to happen, right?
Right.
So, but it has to be dealt with, and it has to be in a truthful, honest base, right? We have to be honest about ourselves and honest with ourselves about where it comes from.
Yeah. So again, we just wanted to kickstart the conversation, and just so you guys could really see,
bring awareness
to what jealousy is. So here's just some of the reasons, but not all, that may include why you feel jealous, or you have
there's
jealousy in your heart. Yep. Being insecure.
Can happen.
Being insecure, having a poor self-image, fear of abandonment or betrayal.
Right. That's true. Right. We get jealous. Like you said, you're afraid you're going to lose your mate. So
exactly.
You feel like they're going to leave.
Right. So you're going to...
Or you may have had abandonment issues with an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or your parents. And so now you're jealous because this person is spending time somewhere else. And so now you're jealous because you feel like they're going to abandon me too.
Right. Sometimes they have a misguided sense of ownership over their partner.
Absolutely.
You start to, and then you word submissive, the wife be submissive, and then you feel like now you have ownership over this person because of that, and then that becomes misguided jealousy. Right. So it's many different things. Right. Or you can have or maintain unrealistic expectations of your partner.
Absolutely.
And then when they don't live up to those expectations, now you have a problem with that person.
Or also, which we mentioned, unexpected expectations can be, unrealistic expectations could also be you don't expect your mate to talk to anyone but you.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
So, well, I don't think you, Jason and I go to the gym a lot, and of course there's a lot of guys there, there's a lot of girls there, but sometimes guys, just start talking or whatever for no reason. It's just a, conversation, and your mate can get jealous and really make a funk out of that if they're not secure with who they are.
Your mate, but not me, baby.
No, not you. I'm definitely not you.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
So it's unrealistic. Like, well, why are you talking to them? And so we have to recognize the jealousy. Is it warranted, or is it an issue with that person? So, like I said, sometimes jealousy can be a cute thing. It can be something that brings us closer together. It can be, my mate still loves me or whatever, right? It can bring you stronger. Closer together and make your relationship stronger. But it can also be an issue with that person that we have to see where it's coming from, where it's stemming from, and is it an issue, a real issue? Because if it doesn't, it turns to abusive behavior. So we have to be careful of which. Now we're talking about seldom. Every now and again, jealousy can be okay. But if it's a constant thing in your relationship, something needs to be done and said about it. Yes, I get jealous at times, not insecure, but I think it's my ego and the inner child of losing and getting and letting go what I didn't embrace.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
And as we talked about, Dennis, the thing.
And we don't even, before you get into that, we don't even talk about the ego. Right? The ego really controls us and make us do things that we wouldn't normally do. Like, I may not be jealous, but my ego just makes me jealous. So we need to address that too. And we'll probably talk about that in our upcoming podcast.
Recognizing not that I get jealous, but the thing is, why do I get jealous?
Yep.
So you have to dig deeper with you and find out what was it that happened to you in the past with someone else or with yourself that makes you feel, jealous. Yep. Right? If you see another person talking to your mate or whatever is causing you to be jealous, you have to ask yourself, why am I really jealous? What is the real issue?
Yep.
Right? Because it's not the person, it's not the situation that's going on. It's something that has triggered it to make you feel that way. And so the first step is to recognize that not only do we feel it, but to be now that you recognize it, now I have to learn how to control it. I have to understand, pick it apart, and no longer let that be a part of, controlling, because the ego wants to be in control.
Yep.
That's why it's called an ego.
Yep.
But once you get back into the driver's seat of your relationship, of your life, of your mind, then you can take control over all the issues that used to plague you that no longer have any effect on you now. And that's what we mean when we talk about every Friday with these issues. We're trying to help relationships to understand that every person comes with something.
Yep.
Right? Every person comes with something, whether it's insecurities, whether it's jealousy, whether it's mistrust issues, whether it's whatever it is. Everybody has something. But the more we understand that it's there, the more we talk about it, and the more we dissect it and no longer make it an issue. We can't let the issues take over our lives. We are supposed to be in control. And so, absolutely, good point, Dennis.
All right.
Wayne said, explanation.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Mia
said, hey, Mia.
Yep, welcome to the party, Mia.
A little late, but welcome anyway.
Yep.
Okay. Wayne said, the thing is, some people don't even know that they are jealous or will not acknowledge it.
Exactly.
Which, Wayne, a little late to the show, too. We said that in the beginning, Wayne.
Yep.
But thank you for joining and thank you for the comment. Absolutely. The first thing we have to do is recognize when we feel a certain way, ask yourself, am I feeling jealous?
Now, you should be able to at least be able to see it now in the relationship. Sometimes you wouldn't. You'd be like, oh, this person is tripping in the relationship. That's not how it is.
I think jealousy shows us, it doesn't show us jealousy, it shows us anger. Right. We get upset.
And then you can kind of say, hey, wait a minute, where are we going with this, right? Why are you feeling this way? Now you have a point of reference where you can work from to say, why is this? What is this angle? Where is it coming from? What are you really feeling? Where is it really coming from? And so that's how you start to peel it back and start to get into it. And that's what we do when we have these conversations. You kind of know what to look out for. Like, all right, yeah, you're jealous, or no, I'm sorry, you're upset. What are you upset about? Why does this make you so upset? Why do you feel this way? So then you can start to peel back and to say, okay, yeah, this may be jealousy, or how to pinpoint it, and now how to actually squash it before it becomes a real issue in your relationship.
I think if we can recognize it on both parts, if I can recognize that I'm experiencing jealousy and be honest with myself to say it is jealousy, and then talk to myself and ask myself, why am I feeling that way? And then if it's a warranted reason why I'm jealous, then I'm able to go to Jason and say, this is how I'm feeling. I understand it's jealousy, and I understand, but this is why I'm jealous. This is the issue that I'm having with this situation. The point is that we can't tackle situations in our relationship if we're not really willing to be honest and to confront them. They're not just going to go away. And it doesn't matter which mate you're with, whether I'm with you, if I get divorced and be with somebody else, I'm going to have these same issues until I learn how to deal with the issues and not think that the issues are the person. So that's what we have to understand. We have to be able to, when I am able to confront myself that I'm jealous, or vice versa, if I'm able to listen to when he's jealous and be understanding instead of being combative, then it helps us to have these better conversations. Relationships are just about understanding. Any relationship. You understand me, I understand you. That makes life easier. If we don't have to argue, then there's no reason to be unhappy, right? And if we can eliminate arguments and disagreements and stuff that really doesn't matter, because life is short. And if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. You don't have to hold on to it. It's a choice. So we have a choice to either talk about it or to let it eat us up inside until it escalates to something where now we're blaming.
Right.
We're blaming our mate. We're confronting our mate. We're arguing with our mate. Right. So we have to understand it's a choice. We have a choice to let that thought keep on growing and make it into something big, or choose to think something different and say, let me take a different path. And that's what relationships, and that's what this show is about, taking a different path. If we want to understand the key to happy relationships, we have to understand the key to happiness for ourselves. What makes me happy? What am I doing that is preventing me from being happy? Not Jason, not my mate, not the world, right? What am I doing that is preventing me from experiencing the best happiness that I can experience? I'm sorry, honey. Last week it was your mic. This week it's your chair.
I'm having...
So I guess Jason doesn't go to the gym enough because no.
Chair can't hold me. Hydraulics wearing out in this thing.
So, guys, I'm laughing, but these are some serious issues. If we can, I think we had some more comments. I don't know. But the thing is, we have to start talking. We have to start talking to ourselves, and then we have to start talking.
Hey, Nancy, how are you? Welcome to the show.
See, so you guys who are latecomers, we sent some shout outs out there. I was asking, has anybody seen my brother-in-law, Earl? He's been missing in action. Haven't heard from him. Yeah. So he normally makes some smart little comments every now and again. He's not watching, hasn't been tuned in. So anyway, the other thing is, so we're going to be getting, what time is it? Okay, we're going to be getting out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in today. But I did want to send out some birthday wishes. But I was going to say, Dennis, don't forget to go back and watch the replay. You too, Kelly. We thanked you guys in the beginning. So thank you again. Regina, if you're here, we sent you a shout out, so make sure you go back and listen. But we wanted to say happy birthday to our mother-in-law. Today is her birthday.
Yes.
So we are rich in mother-in-laws. And so Grandma Jean, we just want to say happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
This past week, my niece, her twin boys, my great nephews, it was their birthday. So happy birthday to Jameer and Amari.
Yep. Happy birthday.
Right. And so, and all the birthdays in March. So
no, you didn't miss one.
I missed a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
Right. So those were the last two. So I'm just gonna say happy birthday to each and every person that was born in March.
Yes.
May God. Oh, Reverend Wells. So happy birthday to our minister, Reverend Derek Wells. All right. Anyone else?
Everybody that's born in the month
Everybody
of
was born in
March.
March. We just want to say happy birthday. Let's see, who was in the beginning? There was some special birthdays in the beginning. Okay, so happy birthday to Janet. All right. And there was a ton more, and I could probably go on Facebook and get a whole bunch of them. And so if I wish it to you on Facebook, my heart is in it. So I just want to say happy birthday to everyone born in March.
Everyone.
Should look back on maybe
It was Alex's birthday too. Yep. So happy birthday, Alex. I don't know if I actually put it on your Facebook page, but happy birthday anyway.
All right. So Daeem, that's right.
Yep.
All right. Happy
Nephew
birthday, Daeem. That's right. We said happy birthday. Who else did we call? Oh, Aria. Happy birthday to Aria.
Yep.
See. So there was a whole bunch of birthdays to people and friends, and Annette. It was Annette's birthday. So we just want to say, enjoy the show. Love you, family. Love you too. All right, guys. Again, if we didn't say your name, we did remember you. We just said happy birthday to all the March people. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Make sure you like,
subscribe, and share.
Yep.
All right, like, subscribe,
also
and share.
go over to YouTube. We're at Legendary Relationship over at YouTube, and please subscribe.
All right, Legendary Relationship on YouTube. Go check out our channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Yep.
All right, and control that jealousy, guys. Recognize it and make sure that we are making a difference in our lives. We're no longer letting our lives just in our relationships be on cruise control. We're jumping in the driver's seat, and we are creating the relationships that we want, one day at a time.
We're making
one Friday at a time.
That's right. We're talking about the things that we need to talk about.
That's right. And there are a lot of issues in relationships. So we're going to make sure every Friday we're bringing you the 411 on how to make a better marriage and a better relationship. Right. All right. So as always, go listen to the podcast, Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. Right? So we got to keep on loving.
That's right.
All right. And as always,
we're in it to win it.
Guys,
we really appreciate you. Talk to you.